All right, so I did not get around, unfortunately, to watching the piano lesson, right?
Oh,
But you did, so you could tell me about it, right? So all I know is based off of a play. It's directed by one of Denzel Washington's sons. I believe it's Malcolm is his name, and it
okay,
stars
right,
John David Washington
right, right.
and Samuel Jackson. But I don't really know anything about it outside of okay, Washington's involved. Samuel Jackson is there, and it's based on a play. But early on,
Yeah,
I was hearing a lot of great things about it, and I even thought the trailer was really impressive as well too. Very haunting, very dark, very,
yeah,
very,
yeah.
just set the mood and whatnot, right? But I had no clue what the story was going to be about, even though I have an idea what the tone was going to be, right? But yeah,
Right.
it just dropped a while back on Netflix, but unfortunately, I didn't get the time to check it out. So yeah, Ricardo, take it away. What was the piano lesson about?
Right. So yeah, it's about this family in the 1920s United States, and basically they have a family heirloom as in the form of piano. So like it took me a hot minute. I listen. I went into this like my naively thinking, oh, it's going to be about music and piano lessons. And like no, it's a lesson involving a piano. That's the lesson. Like it's not, but it's more to do with the history of legacy of slavery, a haunting. Like it is a not supernatural element, but kind of involved in what's going on with the family. And basically, it's anything in and around this heirloom of the piano and the planet of the family, and that's effectively it. John David Washington plays this. I forget the names right now. I'll probably take it up. But John David Washington plays this watermelon salesman, effectively selling watermelon. One of the things that we want people to get is that all the stereotypes about watermelon was a like active culture of demonization because black people was making money from watermelon. Like that's what it was in the early days. Like the history of why that was the way it was is a really unfortunate and dark stuff. But yeah, you get into like watermelon sales, him doing that, him making money off of the piano, sorry, him making money off of this watermelon and doing this, and then just the family bouncing off each other with respect to that. And yeah, they have a lot of good stars in this. As I mentioned, Samuel L. Jackson, John David Washington, Corey Hawkins in this. He's pretty good as a kind of pastor priest type character, and it's just this haunting conceit involving the murder of somebody. I don't want to spoil that, and it involving the family being addressed of well where they come from and the history and the effectively the basically unfortunate pathological history of well what you call American descendants of slaves, right? That just them not getting out of that history, Jim Crow South and how to think about that legacy of it, right? If there's one set of people who probably need reparations is them. All black people don't need reparations, but that specific people who come up in the Jim Crow South, they probably need reparations in terms of like the amount of loss and tragedy involved in their life. Like the opening is this super dark sequence involved with the KKK, and that's all you need to do. But it's very bittersweet, and it commits one sin in this that I usually hate, but in this context it kind of works. I didn't mind it as much, which is the whole, as you say, it's a play. Yeah, it feels like a play, and it does the film in a play sin a little bit, unfortunately. Not too much, but it's noticeable at times, especially when uh, Sam Jackson is there for some reason. Like he's is so played like a theater figure. But again, given the nature of the story and the melodrama of it, because it's and I'm not saying using melodrama in an insulting way, because it's performative outrage. When I say melodrama, it's more the melodrama of the world. Within the world, there is melodrama, not the melodrama of the story, because there's a very dark conceit involved in the melodrama, and they come together with that narrative of making this work in terms of just that pathology of how people in real life have to perform in the world. Especially when it comes to race, or when it comes to like you having to put on a mask or having to be, effectively play a nice person in front of other people, right? That's where the performativity comes in. Is that and you get that from the actors, right? But it still has that film monopoly problem, and I didn't completely hate it, but that's what I kind of got from it. I'll probably give it a rewatch, and I don't think I'll be necessarily wrong, but like I think that's what I was seeing the first time around, and that's what I was gathering from it. But yeah, as it is, this was pretty good. Like, it's worth your time. I do recommend it. It's one of those things that look, it's a struggle movie, black struggling movie, but it's not too pathological. It's not like Leah, which you name Lena Waite and them, right? That bullshit, right? It's not bad. Like I thought it was a solid outing. John David Washington is pretty good in this. Sam Jackson is pretty good in this. as I mentioned, Corey Hawkins, his little role is pretty good, but the standout is the wife, right? She's great in this, like because she's a big central figure. Danielle Deadweiler.
Oh, her
She
from Till. Yes.
right, yeah. Yeah, she's good. This guy, he's in it, and I didn't notice him until after. Like, oh, he was in this. That's Cyborg, Ray Fisher. He's in this.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, he's not half bad in this as well. But yeah, I just thought this is just him having to, deal with the heirloom. They name, like, because they name the tie, their name is not a name, right? And it's a tie to, because it's such a direct tie to slavery and the history and who doing what, and being tied with that, and what happened to well, Sam Jackson's father and, well, his grandmother, where you'll see what happens. They kind of just tells it out. And then the relationship between them being still on other people's land, and sharecropping and all of that side to the story. They make a really, really dark, like, conceit about it, right? And it's very reminiscent of shit. It's a book I wanted to. I can't remember the book right now, because I should write down, because it's only after just doing the review now I just thinking about this book. But it really does a good job of life in Jim Crow, right? And how incredibly pathological and damaging Jim Crow was to the black family, and how, for lack of a better term, over determinate Jim Crow was to the black family, right? And how that governed the situation, and it was one of those things that effectively bleach, any kind of autonomy or legacy that you could build up in any meaningful way. And you get that pathology in it, right? Especially with John David Washington talking about, there's an aspect of him talking about having children, and that aspect of it. And yeah, it's very, very, like, at times it gets nihilistic, like it gets really, really dark in terms of what being argued for or said. But yeah, this was good. Like, not a masterpiece or anything like that, but still good. Like, just really competent. Again, a black struggle movie. It reminded me of this movie a little bit. In the Mud. I want to say In the Mud or something like that. Where, oh gosh,
No, not not Mudbound. No.
Mudbound, right? It
Okay.
reminded me of that a little bit.
Hmm.
Right. It again, very similar conceits of Jim Crow, and well, that was a little later involvement of the war. And it's really, really smart stuff. All things considered, how well acted most of it is. Like, that's the main thing. Like, these stars just come together so well that everybody really bounce off each other. And yeah, somebody who I like him enough, but I don't super love him. I just like him enough. And that's JD Washington, right? He's somebody who I've never liked super. He haven't wowed me yet. Super wowed me yet, but he was pretty good in this. Like, I've always felt that he was just kind of channeling the father a little too much. Like, he still reminds me too much of Denzel, but he really came into his own. I felt, truly came into his own with this, right? And maybe not Tenet, the one with Malcolm and Marie, that one. It's like, it's there. Yeah, rating. Yeah, I get us maybe a 7 out of 10, but high 7. That's not necessarily a bad score, necessarily anything like that. It's just it does its film in a play stuff, and I really felt it could have been a little more short up in terms of the execution. But other than that, this was pretty damn good. A high 7, closer to 8, to be honest. But yeah, I dug the hell out of this. I really enjoyed it. I recommend it. I didn't feel like I wasted my time, and I caught it in a good time. Like, I forget what night I went to see it. It was, I came home, I watched this before seeing Wicked. But it was the Friday night I think I watched this. I went to see Wicked the Saturday night. Yeah, this was the Friday night. It was just me, just, a beer and a gyro, and I enjoyed myself with just a nice, casual night, and I dug the hell out of this. Yeah, rating 7 out of 10. I recommend this. It's strong. It's good. I don't think it'll make my top 10 of the year, but it'll make an honorable mention.
Okay.
Yeah.
And speaking of Wicked, might as well finish things off with Wicked, right?
Yep.
Or should I say Wicked Part 1, right? So
Right.
if you don't mind, Ricardo.
Which is something I was dreaded. And look, I'm just gonna put my cards out. I'm pretty excited for Part 2 though.
Same here.
They kind of cook with the show.
They kind of did, boys. So if you don't mind, I will do the synopsis, right? So quick preamble, right? So Wicked, right? All right. So of course we all know it is based off of basically 2 novels, right? So that would be, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, which of course became, was adapted to the classic 1939 film, right?
Yeah.
And on the subject of that one, right? So it's not a movie that I absolutely, absolutely love, but it's one of those things that if you want to learn about film history, if you want to learn about visual effects and, production design and of course music and whatnot, yeah, you watch that, right? So yes, it's a show that I respect and I admire, but it's not a show that I absolutely, absolutely love, right?
Yeah, I mean, I acknowledge it as it in terms of its like its greatness, like for what
Mm.
it is at the time, especially at the time. I mean, you hear all these like super disturbing stories about it behind the scenes. In terms of like how they treat the actresses and how Judy Garland was treated and how they were spraying asbestos on them, man. Right? It's some real fucked up shit. But
Yeah.
uh, yeah, for what it was great stuff. Like I think it was one of the first Technicolor, if not the first Technicolor film. Technicolor is impossible now, virtually.
Mm.
Like you can't truly replicate Technicolor anymore. Of course, you can replicate the look, but you can't replicate the literal chemicals that is involved with Technicolor is gone. So it's literally like a good part of it is considered a lost art. But there's the sheer production skill of what going on here, special effects, that kind of stuff was just really impressive for its time. I mean, it is. I understand why people consider it a classic, and a
Yeah.
lot of those movies that dominate American pop culture for literally since it came out, right?
Yeah, yeah.
When you go on TV, that's the show. Like it's
Exactly.
this is long before internet and VHS and any of that shit. You had to watch it on TV, and yeah, it's arguably one of the most popular movies ever for a good reason.
That's
Yeah, go ahead.
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that 'cause I don't watch TCM anymore actually. Yeah, I remember that like showing yeah, like I don't want to say every year, but yes, on a regular basis it would show on TCM, right? I think around Christmas time as well too, right? Or probably around Thanksgiving, I think it is. I think it's around that time, right? I was saying this too
Right.
because there's also The Wiz, right? Which
Right.
as part of African American cinema, yes, I acknowledge, I respect it, but it's not a show that I love. It's not a show that I put on a pedestal, says what the greatest
I
things
know, I
ever.
know. A lot of people just rate Wiz a lot higher. The thing is, I never grew up with Wiz, so I never
Same
really
here,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
never
So
get into it. I never get into it the same way other people get into it. But I have people who like love the Wiz, they think it's this great homage to the whole thing. I think yeah, it's fine.
yeah,
But
it's fine, right?
it's a way it was Diana Ross and Michael
And
Jackson.
Michael
So, yeah,
Jackson, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
But
right.
it is one of those shows that deserve its cult status though, because
Exactly.
it's a weird movie. Like it's a weird looking film. When you really think about it though, like Michael Jackson though, straight off the success of, or I should say, yeah, around the time of when he dropped off the wall, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
as a scarecrow, like think
Yeah.
about that for a sec though. Like it should not be, it should not exist in somehow it works, right? But yes, as far as African American cinema, yes, it is a watershed moment, I would say, right? And then
Right.
of course too, we should mention, Quincy Jones, R.I.P. his work on that film, right? Especially with the
Right.
music
Right.
rights.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. 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 Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's also the '95 novel Wicked, right, which
Right.
became the musical, right? And when it comes to the musical itself, right, is one of those things that, all right, so this little confession, right? So like many people who talk about this movie here, I have never seen it play, right? I've
Yeah.
never
I
seen any
watch out. I
videos
watch
of it.
some clips. Yeah, I watch a couple clips on YouTube, but I never actually watch it play in its full entirety. And I'm familiar enough with it by just sheer cultural osmosis. But like, I don't know. I only know the story as it's just a subversion of Wizard of Oz, like Maleficent or whatever it is. Like I thought I
Yeah.
just dismissed it.
That's
So,
all
yeah.
that's all I really know too, right? But it's one of those
Right.
things like for me, because years ago, like back in 2011, I actually got the chance to go to New York, right? I, I make the joke, I say, okay, hopefully if I have the cash, I could go and take in a Broadway play. My mind was thinking, hey, it'd be cool if I go and see Wicked, but that didn't play out because I didn't have the money for that, right?
Yeah,
So
they're super expensive tickets.
it's
So,
super expensive though, but
yeah,
I just wanted to see a Broadway musical for the sake of it, right? It could have been
right.
Hamilton for all we know, right? But I just wanted to see something, right? But yeah, point is, so I went into the show just knowing it is a subversion on the story that we know, true cultural osmosis of the Wizard of Oz, right? And it's exactly that, right? So what it's about, right? So we go back, we go to the land of Oz, right? And it actually begins where the Wicked Witch of the West dies, right? So this is right after the end of the original movie, right? So yeah, the kind folks at Munchkin Land are all celebrating, and they're like, "Whoa, the Wicked Witch is dead," blah blah blah, right? And then we have Glinda, the Good Witch, right, who is played brilliantly, I must say, like shockingly good by Ariana Grande, right? Or should
Yeah.
I say Ariana Grande Butera, right? Because I think she was using her parents' surname for that, right? That's
Okay.
what
Well,
she
I
had.
don't know. Yeah. Okay.
No, well, it was a whole thing that people was kind of wondering why you added the Butera for, right? Because like this year literally she went through a divorce and she actually put out an album which was addressing said divorce, right? So it's like, okay, why you having Grande Butera? Because we know her, we know the stage name as Grande Butera, as Grande, right? But yeah, she just decided to do Grande Butera because family stuff, right? So it's like, well, whatever. But yeah, she's the good witch, and everybody's all like happy and whatnot. But then and she's acknowledging, yes, the Wicked Witch is dead, right? But then the question is brought up: did you know the Wicked Witch? And she says, well, yes, right? And yeah, basically what we get is Wicked First Class. That's what it is, right? Because we see the early beginnings of the Wicked Witch of the West and Glinda the Good Witch, right? The Wicked Witch in question being Elphaba Trupp, who is played brilliantly also by Cynthia Erivo.
Yeah.
Yeah, they meet at this basically this high school, right? Sorry, this university called Shiz University. Yeah, it's Hogwarts. It's Hogwarts, right? Yeah. And then, well, prior to that, now we get a really captivating, I should say compelling, backstory in terms of why Elphaba in particular, compared to everybody else in this weird magical world, has green skin. And like the moment she steps into the university, everybody's all like aghast, like, oh my god, she's ugly and she's running, right? And early on, right, there's these great visual bits to where you will see Elphaba either walking or singing, and you'll see like a character too, like a student behind this sort of cowering or this kind of watching, oh, who is this? And they just sort of run away from her. I thought that was like really, really clever how they did that, right? But yeah, surprise, surprise, she runs into Glinda, and Glinda is doing her best mean girl, impression. Yeah, because basically she is the mean girl of it, right? She's the very, very attractive blonde, who is conceited and full of herself, right? And she feels as if everybody worships the ground she walks on, right? Even though that's not the case, right? But then, through some circumstances, they become friends, right? Because at first, Elphaba does not want anything to do with Glinda, right? She just sees right through her bullshit. But then a certain something happens, and then they actually become friends, right? And then that leads to them actually going to Oz itself, right? And meeting the wizard. And, perfect casting. I mean, he was literally born to play this role. That's what a lot of people will say. Yeah, play by boy, Jeff Goldblum, right? He is the wonderful Wizard of Oz, right?
But this could also work like a kind of sequel to, remember when James Franco did his movie with Oz?
What is Oz the Great and Powerful, which
I
never bothered to watch. I just didn't care.
I saw that once, and my brain has jettisoned that. I guess one of those completely forgettable movies.
Yeah, you see what I mean? Yeah. But then while all this magical happy stuff is going on, there's a couple of dark stuff going on, right? One involving these animals, these talking animals, right? They center on this particular goat who's a lecturer, this history lecturer at the school, Dr. Dillerman, who I didn't even know till I saw the credits, was voiced by wee boy Peter Dinklage. I was like, hey, Peter Dinklage, yo, do your thing, bro.
I went home and I didn't stay for take credits. I had to bust out home. So
okay,
I didn't stay for credits. I didn't know.
All right, I'll get to that in my review, right? But yeah, you could stick around this a little bit to see the credits because they do some cool, right? Okay. But yeah, there's this thing going on where a certain somebody is trying to subjugate these animals, right? So to put it in layman's terms, is to prevent them from actually talking or just acting outside of what we know of them, traditionally as animals, right? So they will just be the traditional.
Yeah, that was the way that the animals should be seen, not heard.
Yeah, seen, not heard, right? And then also too, and this also relates to one of the lecturers at the school, right? That will be Madame Morrible, who is played by Regil Michelle Yeoh, Oscar winner, quite brilliantly in this. Like I just love seeing her in this movie. Yeah, she just looks so. Well, she looked gorgeous in that. Like, straight up, she looked gorgeous in that, right? Yeah. Who has eyes for Elphaba, right? Because it's established earlier, that's why I say, the whole first class thing, like X-Men. Because, yes, like Magneto, Elphaba have powers, right? She have magical powers, which she need to hone and all that kind of stuff, right? So, she sees potential in her, right? But then that leads to this really dark reveal, and at the end of it all, it leads to Elphaba becoming who she is pretty much destined to be, which is the Wicked Witch of the West. And that pretty much is part one of Wicked. Right. But yeah, Ricardo, gush right now. Tell me how much you love this show.
I don't know about gush. It's just Look, I think it's because of the incredible like sour note, right? Both literally and figuratively that we got from Joker 2 fully at dance.
Boy.
You gotta sing like just good music. Yeah, listen, I know big musical fan, but you had to bring it.
And they brought
What's your
it, boy.
singing?
Like I didn't, I
What's your
wasn't
singing?
really
You had to bring
familiar.
it.
I wasn't really familiar with the songs, but dog,
Not familiar with
not
the
just
songs
with
at
the
all.
singing, right? But the
There's only one
execution
song
of
I
it
was
all,
kind
though.
of. There's only one song I was like, oh, that's from this. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like that was it, right? You went in, you're watching it, and it just and I wasn't with no big crowd or nothing like that, so I had nobody like dancing up and making no sort of whole noise and like it was a relatively small crowd when I went. I went to the very late show Saturday night.
Okay.
So it didn't have that big of a crowd. Like I thought it would have a bigger crowd, but it's like it's fine. Went in, just take it in one, like a relatively small audience, and it was like, yeah, it was like this is how you have to do this. Like just good musicals, you have to bring the energy. That's the main thing. They get two singers.
Yes.
That's a big problem I had with Fully Dance, right? Is that you had Gaga, fine, but like that fella we call him Joaquin Phoenix was bringing it at all.
And they didn't even utilize Gaga good anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
They real underutilized her. Yeah.
They utilize her well. Like I've noticed a bunch of shit that was cut from Fully Dance. Anyway, we're not talking about that.
No.
This is just you get two good singers, two great singers. Both of them bringing it. They bring songs. They have all the musical tracks. Again, it's a musical. They don't wow me or anything like that. But when it's time to them to cook for the, especially that last song.
Boy.
Involving the broom, right?
The song in question being Defying Gravity.
Yeah,
what we'll say, folks, is that once you see the scene or if you were to hear the song for yourself, trust me, goosebumps, I got goosebumps hearing. I got goosebumps hearing it and watching that scene. Yeah.
That's the song, and it pulled together. And that way I had to do. That way I do it. I don't I's not somebody who's like, again, not familiar with this material, totally ignorant of the material, just went in thinking, and I just know it have hype. It have hype going for it. I know it's a shame that she's here. We tell me more about this and make it work. But like, it's just good material and just good singing. That's it. Simple story, and it actually like tell a story. I borrow from so you make this joke and there people make this joke. The Gat Maregi bit, right? I know subtlety. I know authors who use subtlety and they all cowards, right? This shit just straight up telling you what the fucking story is about. They try to hide it under not like that. Straight up about abuse and exploitation and racism and so on. They make it work. Total soapbox. And it works. And it just doesn't try to be subtle at all. Especially now, where people don't seem to give a fuck about that, right? Nobody care about intellectualism. It's just straight vibes. And yeah, they make this work. It's just pure vibes energy. And this was excellent. It really, really works so far. It is, if I was a fan of Wicked, I'd probably love this, absolutely love it. Not a fan, just went in as a relative outsider. I'll probably make the effort to watch the play and see, how, or at least a good recorded replay and get that or buy it on the video, whatever it is, and see it work. But as it was excellent. Really, really dug the hell out of this.
Yeah, so shout out to Tracy again, right? He actually put me on to the soundtrack itself for this film, right? And also the original play itself, right? And yes, I listened to both, really enjoyed them as well, right? But I just wanted to see the film and hear the songs in the context, right? That's how I approach musicals, right? So it's not just like I listen to a song and I kind of piece together, like I imagine what the visuals are, right? I want to be surprised, like, oh, this is a song, okay, how are they going to interpret that? And you see it, right? Which was the opposite of what happened though with Joker Fully Dance, where yes, I heard the Lady Gaga Harley Quinn album, right? And I knew certain songs were gonna pop up, and then when they pop up, I was like, oh, that was not what I expected. This is trash, okay, right? But moving on, right? But yeah, this show completely blows Fully Dance out of the water, right? So it's amazing that we have a great musical and a shitty musical that came out in the same year. That is, like, literally, think about it. You don't get that. You actually, probably first time in history, dude, that we had a musical that failed and a musical that just saw. You know what I mean? In my opinion, right? But yes, you are right. The songs are great, though. They are catchy, popular. Is going to be Oscar nominated.
Right, that's the song I knew about from before because I didn't know that was in this now. I was like, oh, that's where it's from.
Yeah.
They hate as a like I think it was a joke like a joke audio using TikTok or something like that all the time. I'm like, oh, that's what this from. I didn't know it was from this. I'm like, oh shit, that's what this from, and it's really good.
Yeah, it is.
Damn,
It is, right?
what catchy track here.
Yeah, and I'll get to Oscar nominations in a bit, right? But yeah, yeah, that song deserves Oscar nom, right? One thing that really amazed me about the show, right, is that it's just the look of it, right? I love the fact that because it could have just been this CGI orgasm, right, of just visuals and stuff that look artificial, right?
That's what I was worried about, because I find the trailer, it didn't look good at all. Like I remember the trailer not looking particularly good. It's like, oh, this way looking like as the final thing. I remember seeing the trailer when I was watching it in IMAX.
Oh, it didn't look
like,
good in IMAX. Oh, shit.
I didn't know. Yeah, that was it. I remember watching it when it was first advertising. Well, not IMAX, where it was going cinema one.
Okay, yeah.
And I thought it didn't look particularly good, and that's a good screen. So I was like, oh, that's this looking unfinished or whatever it is. But no, when you see the final product, it looks great. Absolutely.
It does.
Really,
it does.
But it have just the good right, because you see what it does, it pulls from the aesthetic and the technicolor. No? Like,
Yes.
so like you can making visuals pop, but not come across as noisy. Like,
Exactly.
one of the biggest problems, by far the biggest problems I have with a lot of the Disney remake stuff, when they're doing the remakes, is that it's just the aesthetics too noisy. It don't have a clear aesthetic, no. Unlike this. But yeah, this was excellent.
Yeah, but you're right though, in terms of the colors, right? Because yes, I was concerned about the color scheme being too vibrant, right? But no, it's not dull neither. It has a nice
pops in all the right ways, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. But as far as I was amazed at just that they actually cooperated set designer, because there's like props, for example, like I'm seeing this gigantic green tree and I'm just there like, all right, is that real? Like, did they make that? Like I found out after the fact, well, yes, they did. And I was like, yes, now we talk about, right?
Yeah.
There's a musical set piece set in a library. And I'm just watching this stuff. I'm like, horse.
Yes.
Horse. Because, all right, what we'll say without spoiling anything, it is the perfect mix of like stage play with like studio set. It's like the perfect meshing of it, right? Where you have these mechanisms in the set, in the frame that moving, right? But you also have characters, dancers in the same frame moving alongside it as well too, right? So you're not just there as, background fodder. It's there to work. It's there to complement the scene, and the dancers themselves use it as well, right? So it's part of the shot itself, right? Also, just these musical numbers are so superbly done, though. I love that there's a lot of activity going on in the frame. Just the blocking involved, where everybody's position and whatnot is great, though.
Yeah.
I was actually and shout out to Jon M too, right? Who we've known from since he dropped Crazy Rich Asians back in 2018, right? Yeah, that man learned a lot from In the Heights, though, which was one of my favorite films back in 2020 or 2021, I think it was, right? But yeah, and I love how he just kind of raise the stakes, though. Let's raise the ambition. Like, look, all right, In the Heights was cool, but wanted to really, really step things up, right? Step up, right? 'Cause I think he did Step Up 3, if I'm not mistaken, right? But yeah, boy, the man really stepped his A game with it, though. In terms of just creating order amongst everything, right? So it's not just dancers in the background dancing while the lead is there doing whatever. No, there's an order to everything where everybody is blocked and all that kind of stuff. There's an order to everything, and I was just amazed at that, right? But yeah, the dance sequences were great. The songs were fire. The performances, though, were great across the board, right? Shout out to Jonathan Bailey, though, who plays a character by the name of Fiyero, right? Yeah, his number was great, though, in my opinion, right? But yes, it is Cynthia and Ariana who hold this show on their shoulders, and boy, their singing, though, is top notch, though. I mean, Ariana could do no wrong as far as singing goes. I love that she just have to drop a falsetto like every 5 minutes. She just has to do the oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it adds to the character of Galinda, right? Whereas, like, yes, it's all about me, and I must, even to the point of not acknowledging her name as Glinda, it has to be Galinda, right? So it must be about me. She has to be more theatric than everything else, than everybody else, right? So I love how she add that to the character as well, right? Cynthia Erivo, right? Who I know she was nominated for an Oscar for a song she did for this movie Harriet, which I didn't bother to watch because I just didn't really dig the concept of it. Maybe I'll watch it one day, right?
Is okay. So the thing with Harriet, the thing with Harriet is that it works to a certain extent, but I get why they did it the way they did it, because they tried to do this historical figure, but they basically make a Marvel movie.
That was the drawback. When I hear
Right, and
Marvel movie, I was like, no, Marvel
I
movie
get
historical thing. I'm like, no.
what. Okay, so I understand the gamble they make by basically making a hero out of somebody who's a historical figure, but we take them as a serious historical figure. So how should you play it? And the logic was, basically trying to do a Braveheart kind of vibes. No, that's the logic, but it didn't work. Like I don't think
Okay.
it worked all that well. But she was good in it. Like I remember her being good in it, and I watching this and like this is a weird experiment, and I understand with the logic of it, but it didn't work because it didn't work the same way like what a Woman King could have worked now. Like Woman
Yeah,
King is a
yeah.
totally different concept. That's why that worked.
Right.
This didn't work in that way. And look, we can get into the black people in Africa, America. There's a whole thing, right? But that's basically, I think, the problem. Like
Right.
because of how we look at. We wasting too much time. But
Yeah,
anyway,
but moving on. But
yeah.
Cynthia, I mean, singing voice, she was great though. And just to
Yeah.
get to acting, boy, I was shocked though. Ariana Grande though, I can't believe it.
Oh no, yeah, she's always good. She's always good in what she's do. She's always funny in SNL when she go to that. Oh, speaking of SNL, Bonyang, he was good in this.
Yes. We boy Bowen Yang. Shout out to Bowen Yang, right? Even though he's a side character, you do get a lot of lines. So just
Exactly.
the moments with him alongside Glinda, that's what you'll say, were just hilarious to me. Just him being like, oh wow, you're so lovely. Wow.
Because he has such fantastic comedy timing.
Yes.
And he has some great lines coming out of this. He's legit funny. Dude.
Yeah, there was a moment with him and Jonathan Bailey do well. Like, yep,
right.
I fucks with that. That's real cool. I like that. That, right? But yeah, I can't believe I've seen this, folks. But Ariana Grande could get an Oscar nom too, no? I was like,
this and I folded my hands and like. No, I watching this folded my hands and like this boy. They kind of cook here though. Like it's some good set of thing. I don't know if go win or anything like that, but they kind of cook here. The timing of it too is like when it come out in the right time to build momentum for holiday season.
That's right.
That kind of stuff, and then Oscar season, right? Right, because it's around the same time that when did Oppenheimer come out?
Around the same time, I think so. Or it came out around the same time. It wasn't October. I would have known if it was October, or maybe it was. I can't remember right now.
Oppenheimer didn't come out when Barbie came out. I'm trying to remember.
All right, so I get my tentpole movies confused here, right? But I think it was October or November that both Barbie. Yeah.
No, Oppenheimer come out a lot earlier than this. It was July.
Okay, well,
that's summer, right? No problem.
All right, shit. That's to show how much we remember, right? But I'll talk about Oppenheimer. Good thing I bring up Oppenheimer, right? But speaking of Barbie, no. This is, like, to me, Ariana Grande is the Margot Robbie of this movie, right? It says that not just that because she is blonde, right? And and she's gorgeous in this as well, right? But she is selling the hell out of this character, just being
what it well is the aspect of again, the idea of Barbie have a stereotype of a blonde woman, more than likely not intelligent kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And they just put her in such a great emotional space for this. Like, that's why a lot of this works.
Yeah.
And given the nature of the story, like, is the Gilded Cage narrative about, well, again, the Concita race, right? Is white woman with black friend and kind of probably throw somebody under the bus, but for why and which reasons and whatnot. And they do this really well. Again, I know authors who use subtext and they're all cowards, right? To borrow from the Gartberg, right? It's straight up that though. Like, they try.
No, you're right. Like the moment you see, like the moment you see Cynthia in the film, once she's introduced as an adult, it's like, it's about race. It's about race. The way how the people kind of move around, and when you realize, oh my God, she has green skin. It's about race.
Right.
It's there. Yeah,
they didn't play at all.
Yeah, they did not play, right? But I would say both Ariana and Cynthia could get Oscar noms for this though. But I really think, as far as the acting goes, I think Ariana could get it, boy, because she killed it with that performance, right? Because she is so believable as this mean girl who will eventually becomes this good witch, so lovely and bubbly and all that kind of stuff, right? But it fits with the character. And one thing I was concerned about is that, is she gonna be like this throughout the whole show? But no, when the dark stuff comes in, I was like, no, that's where you see the change coming, right? But even before then, how she becomes friends with Elphaba, right? And I'm not gonna spoil the moment when it happens. What it does, though, that was just so heartfelt, though. Like, I wasn't sure where it's gonna go, And they're like, all right, this I don't know what's going on here. I'm not sure if this could work it out. But it just got you involved though. Like when Ariana steps into the stage, that's all you say without spoiling anything. That's when it started work, and you really see things play out from there, right? So yes, their chemistry is great though in this film, right? But yeah, I really think that Ariana could get that Oscar nom, similar to like a Margot Robbie, right? Where she just plays this really larger than life, bubbly, superfluous character, right? Who learns a lot about herself and the world around her, right? She really does remind me of that, right? It's not just the singing, but that's the genuine acting that she put into it as well, right? But yeah, the real star is Cynthia, right? I love how the film plays on it too, right? Because yes, in Shiz, right, it's all about Ariana. She's front and center. She wants to be front and center. She fights to be front and center, right? But really, it's about Elphaba. She should be the one taking center stage, right? But I love in terms of the storytelling where it's like she not ready for it as yet. She need to find her wings, so to speak. And once she finds it, that's when she becomes center stage, right? And that leads to the final song, which is Defying Gravity. But I will not lie to you. That moment got to me. I was just watching everything, right? And let's go back to the musical numbers. I love that, not all of them are, but the majority are, right? They are so grandiose, right? They know when to be audacious. They know when to raise that level high, right? But in that particular moment, in the end, boy, I was like, yep, raise that shit high. Raise it to 11. If you know, you know, right? Go all the way to 11, right? And it did exactly that to the point that when the film cut to black and you see to be continued, people were clapping, and I was like, yep. That's how you close it. And fun fact, that is actually how the stage play ends its first act. Sorry, its first half. It actually ends at that point, right? But yeah, I just love again just how they just went over the top, right? Very in your face with it. Just like, yep, this is what we doing. This is when she becomes the Wicked Witch. This is what we doing. We don't care about subtlety. Forget subtlety. Throw that out the window. We going all in. We going hard or we going home. That's what it is, right? I love how Jon M just went big with this though. With not just with the performances, right? But just the set pieces as well, right? But always knowing that it's not just about the grandiosity of it all. We telling a story. We want to make a point here. We trying to hit emotional beats and whatnot. So we don't want to let the visuals and the music get in the way of the story. And I thought that the story, even though yes, it is based off of the play itself, I thought that it was very well told, very well structured, right? And I love that it is bold enough to say, look, it's us. It's based off of the Wizard of Oz. Yes, animals talk. Shut up. Deal with it, right? I don't care. Yes, we're going to have animals sing a song. We don't care. It's us. Deal with it, right? I can see a lot of people watching this like, what kind of movie is this, boy? But look, like when you go into a movie called Wicked Part 1, you get exactly what you pay for, right? And I got my money's worth for this, right? That being said, right, just to wrap things up, right? I could see some people being overwhelmed by the runtime. The funny thing with me though is that I actually thought that it was very well structured though, this and well paced as well. I cannot for the life of me think of any moment that they could have cut out. I can't think of any moment, right? And that goes back to like shows like say Oppenheimer or Killers of the Flower Moon, right? Where yes, I understand the argument about both movies being too long, right? And yes, it will wear people down and be like, oh gosh, we literally sitting out for so long, right? But even in those shows, there's no moment in Killers, there's no moment in Oppenheimer, and there's no moment in Wicked where I could say, nah, you could take that out. You could take that out.
Right.
Nah, this slow down the movie. Nah, no. Everything feels uniform. Everything feels like it needs to be there, Dread. So I applaud the fact that, yeah, they kept that length, right? But I won't lie, going into it, I was just like, all right, how this movie's though? Like, it had to justify the length though. And somehow, much to my surprise, it was though. Everything that was on screen was justified. It was the length, it was the story and all that too, right? And I was just enjoying it so much, I didn't even care about the time. I was just like, look, I paid to sit down for 2 hours and 30 minutes with some change. That's what I'm here for, right? And I did that, right? And also lastly, before I get to rating, right? Final thoughts, right? Also, points, mad points, right? For both the old school version of the Universal Studios logo, the 30s style, the 30s, 40s version. I see that, I was like, I fucks with that. I fuck with that. That hard. And right down to the text that shows up in the end when you see in the well, not so much in the ruling. Well, sorry, the end ruling credits, but just like the performers and the cast and crew, right? Yeah, the old school style to it as well too. That's the text as well too. Like right down to like the title of the film itself having that old
Yeah.
school text.
Mhm.
When you see
Yeah.
it, talk about, I was like, yep. Yep, that's what I'm here for. Yep, acknowledging the 30s, just
Yeah, the
acknowledging
original,
the
yeah.
original, the source material, not just the movies, but the novel as well, right? And then also to paying tribute to the Wiz itself in terms of just its audaciousness, just how big and grand it is, and just how unapologetic it is, right? So yes, as you could tell, I absolutely love this film. This was a huge surprise for me, right? And it will be
Yeah.
for a lot of people who not familiar with the source material or the play at all, right? Hands down, this is the best musical of the year. Again, I just love the fact that this came out in the same exact year as Joker Fully Adults, right? So we have
You know,
chalk and cheese right there, right? And yes,
chalk
like
and
you,
cheese. Absolutely
like
chalk
you,
and cheese. Yeah.
yeah, I like you, Ricardo. I am excited as all hell for Wicked Part 2. It's coming out from what I
Yeah.
see here, November the 21st. So yes, Universal on point in terms of the release of this, right? Being nearing Black Friday / Thanksgiving weekend. That's perfect. I love that, right? Not releasing it on the weekend of course, but the weekend before. So yeah, this is gonna make a ton of cash. This coming weekend, as in Black Friday / Thanksgiving weekend. This is gonna be a ton of money, right? And yes, best believe that this show is gonna get Oscar noms up the wazoo, right? I don't think it will be nominated for Best Picture. I don't think that we will get a Barbie like vibe. Like, oh, Barbie's nominated for Best Picture. Okay. I don't think we will get that with Wicked Part 1, right? But I know that it will get nominations, in particular for Popular. That's my song. That's the song that I rooted for to get an Oscar nom. Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande are shoo-ins for Oscar noms. I really rooted for them to get nominated for something. And just right down to the production design and the visual effects. And I have to mention too, costume design was on point. That got
Yeah.
costume design, Oscar nom as well too, right? And yeah, at the end of the day, I absolutely enjoyed this. I forgot to mention too, Miguel, Michelle Yeoh, and Jeff Goldblum, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
they were great characters, and just for the roles they played though, especially Jeff Goldblum though, again, like he was born to play that role. He just have that
Great. Yeah.
quirkiness
Yeah.
about him, and it fits him perfectly,
Yeah.
right? But yeah, absolutely love this film. As far as rating goes, I'm gonna give this a lighter, decent 4.5 out of 5, right? This is one of the best shows of the year. This is gonna be in my top 10 for sure. Could it be top 5? Could be, but this is definite top 10 for me, right? So unless you don't like musicals, or unless you don't care for anything Wizard of Oz, I still strongly recommend that you check this out, right? In particular, if you want to wash off the filth that Joker Folia Do might have left on you if you were one of the unfortunate people to see it theatrically, or God forbid if you saw it digitally, boy. Yeah, this is the palate cleanser for you, boy. This is the palate cleanser, right? So yes, just like Dune Part 2, Wicked Part 1 is up there as one of the best things I have seen all year, boy. Definitely see this film.
Yeah. So yeah, now for me, this was excellent. Really, really rated. Rating, I got 8 out of 10. Pretty damn good. I don't love musicals. Not familiar with this material, but they had me hooked from start to finish, and they really, really did a good job with this. So very excited for part 2, right? About excited for the parody with Nicole Kit, right? So if you know, you know. This was great. Really loved it. Excellent stuff overall. Yeah, there's not since probably Dune Part 2, as you say. And it's kind of shocking that we getting this, and we ain't getting fucking Across the Spider-Verse just yet, right?
I know.
Yeah, that might end up turning out to be the Half-Life 3 of our generation, right?
Oh
Terrible.
God, no.
Terrible, absolutely terrible. We get that I was not excited since I was super excited for when they did the Mission Impossible Part 1. I was like, yeah, that don't need to be a part. I'm not excited for that, to be honest. We're looking at it. But this had me like a good, perfect way to end, and have a cliffhanger for such a long film. Because when I hear part 1, like, what? They serious?
Yeah,
But nah,
and two
there's
hours
ultimately,
and 2 hours and 40
yeah,
minutes.
right.
You know,
Right, I
that
was
was me. That
really
was me.
worried, and then but what we end up getting as a product is like, no, they cook, they absolutely cook, they nail it. So I make my gross joke just now, saying, excited for the part two, just as excited for the parody Nicole Kid, right? So is that,
Yeah.
yeah, 8 out of 10, great, excellent. This more probably gonna make a top 10 of the year, probably. Pretty damn good. So yeah.
All right. Well, spoiler alert, it better, right? And last but not least, because we might as well address it, right? As far as the Glicket thing goes, which, yeah, I guess for us, because we got Gladiator 2 before this, it really don't matter. But I don't think
Right.
Glicket at the end of the day will be a big deal compared to like
No.
Barbenheimer. Like Barbenheimer,
No.
that was a big deal, but Glicket, not so much, right? But yeah, this wins over Gladiator 2 anyway, right? Any day, right? As much as I admire and I enjoy Gladiator 2, and I've seen people coming out and saying, yeah, it's an unnecessary sequel and blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff, which I mean, I understand that, right? But yeah, Wicked is the winner. Because if you want to say who is, all right, so I talk about just in terms of just the quality, yes, Wicked wins, right, over Gladiator 2, right? As far as box office draw, though. Yeah,
Right,
it was
well,
fine. It was fine, but
Right.
like compared to Wicked, I mean, because I was expecting both shows to bring
And
the
I
A
don't
game.
think I don't think the reset like all the recent politics stuff factor into this, right? Just people just not feeling the world right now. It's like, yeah, this is like the perfect thing for a lot of people. I don't think that factored in.
Yeah,
Like in terms of like the popularity and the rise of this that crowd. Is that it's kind of like Wonder Woman with the first back in 2017.
right.
Like if that played out differently, that movie, I don't think that movie would have been as big as it was. Like there's these little things, these little bounce backs now that's happen.
Yeah.
You gotta make these little predictions here or there. Yes, it's that.
Yeah, yes. But when it came to Barbenheimer, the thing was, who was gonna make the most money and all that. Well, sorry, who's gonna make more money, right? But yeah,
Right.
I mean, I think it's kind of obvious. Yeah, Wicked is gonna dominate.
Yeah,
Wicked is gonna
no
dominate.
surprise. Right.
Like Gladiator 2 is gonna make cash. Don't write it off.
Well, yeah.
But
Yeah, do well enough. Yeah, whatever.
yeah, but Wicked is gonna be the dominant one, right? So yeah, but yeah, not much more we could say. Wicked is the real deal, though. Definitely check it out.